Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Very important video for me today. I'm really excited to make this video. I think it'll help a lot of parents out there who kind of need to see it from this perspective. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me. It really helps the algorithm, helps YouTube send my video out to more parents. So, if there's ever a time where a parent's in need and needs a different perspective on things, you can reach out to me here. Today, I want to go over the 5 different types of parenting, 5 different parenting styles. There's multiple ways to skin a cat. I'm sure you've heard the saying before. There's different ways that this thing can be done. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a right or wrong way. There's a more preferred way, and then there's a less preferred way. There's a way that sees certain results on one end, and then there's a way to parent your kids that'll end up grooming different results. So what do we want to see here? We want to see balance. Balance is the key word here, y'all. You have these different type of parenting styles, yes, but to me, there are some foundational things that have to be in place in order to successfully raise your child into a responsible, disciplined adult. Parenting style I want to cover is the authoritarian parenting style. And when I think back growing up, my grandparents were authoritarian. This parenting style specifically is where it's my way or the highway, no questions asked. I don't want to hear what you got to say. Don't worry about why. The answer to your why is because I'm your parent, because I said so. This is the classic because I said so parent. There's good and bad with each of these. I think the good part about being authoritarian is total control. If you're dealing with like a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5-year-old, obviously you kind of have to put your foot down on the law for a while just to create that understanding that rules are meant to be followed, that order has to be in place in this household. That's pretty much where the authoritarian parenting style is based off of. That's the origin of the authoritarian parenting style. Now, there's a lot of good that comes with it. There's also a lot of bad that comes with it. I think that this parenting style could hurt or help your kid. It depends on how you integrate it into your household. But I will say this parenting style does come with some kickbacks. If you want to take up this authoritarian approach with your parenting style, you're really creating a gap of communication with your kids. I think in the midterm and the long term, in the long run, you're dealing with a situation where maybe when your kids become exposed to choosing whether or not to follow the rules for themselves, it's not something they want to talk to you about. Maybe if it comes down to making tough choices later on in life, they just choose one way because they can only see things one way. I think that, we should be raising our kids to see the big picture and everything. Yes, understand that your kids are going to make some mistakes. Your kids are going to, make the wrong choices. They're not going to do everything right. It's really no point to me, in my mind, in my heart, of being an authoritarian parent, because I think your kids are going to, I can hover over my kids all day. All day long, I can hover over my kids, lay down the law and say, no, don't do this, or yes, do this, or you're supposed to, either way, I think that they're going to challenge you. And they're going to break rules sometimes. It's going to happen. It's not something that a certain set of rules can prevent. That's just human nature. That's how we grow and learn and find understanding in life. Authoritarian parent, I think, later on finds that there is a barrier between them and their kids. Yes, I think it creates I think over the course of time, it can create a path of ease. But your kids will follow the rules with no understanding of the rules. Your kids will make decisions with no understanding of their decisions. That's possible. It's possible that they just flip the script at some point in life and they, defy the odds. But most of the time when people grow up with these, because I said so parents, they become I said so parents. A person that was raised by someone who didn't do any explaining as a parent won't explain too much to their kids unless you're watching a video like this and you realize that, this is something that can be changed. You can choose how you want to parent. I'm going to be big on saying this on this channel. We don't have to parent the same way that our parents parented us. We can make changes. We can alter some things. We can decide to do some things completely better, and we can improve our situation. One saying that I will say is, if you didn't come from a solid family, make sure that a solid family comes from you. If you didn't come from a solid family, make sure that a solid family comes from you. That means that if you grew up and there were some things going on in your household that you wish didn't have to happen in your household, make sure that you don't become the parent who does what their parents did, or who put their kids in the same situation that you had to go through just for the sake of, this is how I was raised. That's not an excuse. That's a lazy way out. I think that it takes more thinking to be a parent, being more engaged with your child and how they learn, figuring out how your child learns best is the best way to teach. Not, necessarily saying because I said so and this is how I want it done and there's no questions asked, Leave room for communication because you're going to want that communication later on in your kid's life. Believe me. I want to talk about the permissive parent. What is a permissive parent? I call a permissive parent a yes man, a yes woman, a yes person. This is a person who tells the kid yes to everything, allows the kid to do whatever they want, how they want. This is a kid who can cry and get whatever they want because they're crying. Or throw themselves on the floor and throw a fit and get whatever they want. Layla, she didn't do that. My 3-year-old Layla, she didn't do that too much. But my youngest, Lulu, she has taken on this approach. As being the youngest child that I have and the youngest child that her mother has, I think that she thinks her advantage is being the baby. And obviously you're going to deal with this as a parent. Every kid is different. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter. You don't really get to choose how your kid behaves at 2 or 3. You can kind of, I think, nurture it and groom them into a certain behavior pattern. But I don't think, I think it's more about the parent observing the kid and not the kid just automatically catching on to everything in life. I think it's about us observing them and paying attention and understanding what moments they learn in, how they take in information. Lulu, she'll throw herself on the floor and, I always try the calm, steady approach. For a while, I would just, ignore it, and then she'll get right back up and continue playing. She has a toy, and I say, hey, that's Layla's toy. Give Layla her toy. She'll throw the toy and get upset. To me, this is just something that she has to work through this phase, and I'm going to work through it with her. It comes with patience and understanding that, hey, this is a kid. This is a baby who, obviously every baby gets upset when they don't get what they want. And you have to find a way to say, hey, this is Layla's toy. This is John's toy. This is Becky's toy. Let's make sure that we're sharing and encourage them to share and let them know that all kids share and all kids need to share. Things like that. Teaching the principles of it, even if it goes over your kid's head, it's important to me. I feel like you cast a wide net as a parent. I feel like my grandparents did a great job of that. Like I said, they were authoritarian, but they were teachers. There were moments where I learned because they were casting a wide net of information and saying, hey, whatever he latches onto, whatever he catches onto, we'll take that. And then you cast a wide net the next time they catch on to something else. Then you just keep casting wide nets, throwing knowledge out there to them. Don't think because it's over their head or they don't understand it that you can't say it. Talking to a baby who can't talk is how they learn how to talk. So talking to a child who doesn't understand, giving them that understanding, even though they might not be able to grasp the whole thing, you will see progress if you take this approach. Now, the permissive parent has a lot of kickbacks coming later down the road. Definitely as a young kid, but as the kid gets older, you're looking at a kid who doesn't know boundaries, doesn't understand social limitations or social interaction, maybe is used to having it his or her way, and this becomes a problem in school when it comes to learning around other kids. And maybe there's a kid who's in the class encouraging your kid to break the rules and can easily do so because there are no rules at home. I think that there needs to be rules at home. There has to be boundaries as to where, okay, that was cute, but you're not supposed to do that. Okay, daddy that was funny, but let's not say that word. It has to be some kind of balance. It can't just be, don't do that because I said so. Kids don't understand that. And that's why most parents that have that mindset towards it is just because I said so have to deal with kids going back and doing that same thing over and over again, because you have to start teaching concepts and teaching principles and teaching behavior patterns at a young age. Authoritative is a little bit different from authoritarian. Authoritative is, I like to say this is my approach. I'm going to be honest on this video with y'all. I would like to say this is my approach. This is definitely my approach with Layla, my 3-year-old. And, I lay down the law, but I also listen a lot. I want to, being a guy, having 2 girls, it gets tough. Like, I have to listen to her. I have to show that, her dad is open to hearing what she has to say or hearing how she got to it. So a rule for me is she can't go wake up other people while they're sleeping. She can't go wake up Lulu, or she can't wake up her older brother David. She can't wake me up. And not just like if she needs something, obviously she can wake me up, but I don't want her like jumping on people and playing, yelling in their ear while they're asleep. That's a concept that I want to introduce now. So later on, it just builds towards her being a respectful individual growing up. Just a piece of the pie that I'm teaching her about respecting others and caring about others and what state they're in. So authoritarian, there'll be times where I'll wake up and like this morning, I woke up to her like doing some weird noise in my ear. It was like all in my ear, and I'm like, Layla, what are you doing? Do you know the rule? The rule is that we're not supposed to be playing with people while they're asleep. Why? And then she says, okay, and I'm like, why are you doing it? If you know you're not supposed to do it, why are you doing it? Asking these questions, if you know you're not supposed to be doing it, why are you doing it? You might not get an answer because not a lot of kids, 3, 4, 5, have an answer for that. But you want to start putting these questions in their mind. If you know you're not supposed to be doing it, then why? Let them answer the question. You know what I mean? Let them answer the question internally. You just have to trust that all the brain power they have to tell you that they're hungry, or tell you that they want to play, or they're not ready to go to bed, or they don't want to go to school. All that brain power can also be used the same way internally, okay, to process what you're saying. Don't think that it's too far-fetched to tell your kid to think about what they're doing, or to be smart, use your brain. I say that to Layla a lot when she gets in trouble. Be smart, think, use your brain. Before you do something, think. And I told her what thinking means, so, now when she does something good, she's like, I think, Daddy, I think, and I know what she means. She's going back to the wisdom I gave her about thinking before she makes a decision. That's just another building block to her becoming a respectful person down the road. It's not all about, when it comes to parenting, it's not all about the small picture or immediate success or immediate change. It's about building. So
we're building
these principles. Along the way, you'll have some instances where, you have to take a different approach, but you just keep building and teaching. And then, you watch these things become a part of your child's natural behaviors. I think that I do a lot of this, I explain the rules. I explain why they, I do a lot of stuff that wasn't done for me growing up. And that's fine. Like, I'm fine with the way I grew up because the world was a different place, back in the 90s. The world was a different place in the early 2000s. It was a different place. There's more urgency towards how you parent your kids now, just because there's so much more out there. There's so many more potholes for them to step in, or banana peels for them to slip on. There's more distractions out there. There's just more obstacles on the path to being a respectful individual of good character in this world than there was when I was a kid. So I don't mind it. I don't mind the way I grew up. I just know exactly where I want to make certain tweaks and exactly where I want to do things different, because my kids are growing up in a world where everybody was wearing masks and you got to have a shot to get on a plane. They're not going to understand the life that I grew up in. They're not going to understand the way the world was when I grew up. So I don't want to raise them the exact same way I grew up. Just the fact that I explain a lot to my kid that they don't even understand, I feel like I'm preparing them to take in knowledge. When they hear knowledge later on in life, I'm preparing them to take it in. And that's important to me. That should be important to any parent raising young kids. I think being an authoritative parent allows you to still be intact with your child's emotions and their emotional state, where they are, as far as how they feel. Whereas, Layla can get in trouble, and then 5 minutes later, I can come back and say, hey, are you okay? Are you good? Sorry you had to get in trouble like that, but maybe we can learn and get better next time. And she says, okay, Daddy. And that's not every kid's going to be like that. But I think that that's part of the building block. You have to build to that. It takes a little bit more effort to not always be able to say, because I said so, or just do it, or get over there, or, it helps. Even with getting, my kids to go to sleep, I explain to them about rest and how important it is, and sleep. And I tell them, all the kids are asleep right now. Your brother is asleep, your mom is asleep, your sister is asleep, your auntie sleep, your grandma sleep. We go down this long list of people who sleep. Why? Because you have to think from a blank slate. This kid doesn't understand anything but mom or dad telling me to go to sleep. They don't understand the concept of rest and recovery, of brain development, of physical development, physical growth, of their attention span the next day and their energy the next day. These are things that it's up to you. It's up to you to explain that to your kid and give them a understanding growing up that, hey, I played hard today. I got to get some rest so I can play hard tomorrow. You played hard today. You had a good day, good long day at school. You played after school. Daddy picked you up from school. We played after that. We went grocery shopping, whatever we did. And I explained to him all the stuff that we did over the course of the day. And then I say, that's why we need to get some rest, because we have to wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. And you don't want to be sleepy, because if you're sleepy, you won't be able to have as much fun. Now she's looking at me like, wait, sleep has to do with fun? Wait, I might have to listen to this. That's just my situation, me learning how to talk to my kid. But you have to find a gateway into your kids' receivers. You know what I mean? How they learn, how they take in and receive information, how they're going to communicate. Because, a lot of times how you communicate with your kid is going to become how they communicate moving forward with people that they interact with in their life. I see it on a regular basis. It's a fact. Neglectful parenting is a sad case. This is a sad case of parenting. Oftentimes, this is a lazy parent, or a parent who, puts money first. A parent who puts job and career first before their kid, or even hobbies. A person who puts going to the gym is more important. Maybe they're more into their self still, and they haven't transitioned over to full-time 24/7 parent. They're still wanting to do their own thing, and y'all just go over there and get out my way. This is the worst type of parent, bro. I'm not gonna sit here in front or sugarcoat for it. This is the worst type of parent for numerous reasons. Like I would have to spend a whole video on just the neglectful parent and talk about the small picture and the big picture. But to make a long story short, man, the neglectful parent puts other things in front of their kids. The neglectful parent puts other things in front of their kids. Meaning, money can be on this list. You can put money in front of your kid, and you'll end up being a neglectful parent. Not saying that having money to provide for your kids and provide for your family and pay all the bills and buy them that new bunk bed that you promised.
I really got to get this bunk bed for these kids, man. They are blowing me up about this bunk bed.
One can't even talk, but she can say bunk bed. Neglectful parents have an issue where the priorities are small picture. You're thinking about yourself, where you have the opportunity to ease your life, make your life easier down the road by devoting yourself to being a parent. Neglectful parents end up with a kid who, wants to make decisions on their own without even telling you what's going on. I can't imagine my kid being 14, 15, entering high school, freshman year, sophomore year, and has a situation with the opposite sex and won't come talk to me because I wasn't there for them growing up. That's not the type of relationship we have. And, a kid turns into a big kid, that turns into a young adult, that turns into a full adult, that will one day be a parent. And the saddest part is that most kids who were neglected only know that parenting style once they become a parent. Obviously, there's other avenues of learning how to be a parent. And, once you have a child, it's really, up to you. You're going to look at that child and you choose where you put the love on your priority list. My love is at the top. If my kid is sick and needs me, I'm not gonna, go to work and leave my kid with a stranger. I'm not going to get off of work and tell my kids to go over there. I'm busy right now. Everything has to have a certain level of involvement if you have expectations for your kid down the road. If you expect your kid to talk to you and communicate with you and love on you and be affectionate or talk to you about their problems later on, you have to start this now. You cannot neglect your kid. You cannot put TV in front of parenting your kid. You can't have your kids staying up till midnight, okay, and you're in there playing the PlayStation. You got to take care of business, man. You got to tighten up as a parent. I'm talking to any neglectful parent. You know who you are. Any parent who neglects, their child that's sitting right in the same house and can't get a piece of you. I see a lot of parents who are still dating and put the dating in front of their kids or tell the kid to go over there. I got company. You know what I mean? This happens. I don't know if you've encountered it or witnessed it or experienced it, but this happens, man. It's a real thing and it's dangerous. Just to think about a kid being neglected or being alone. Not saying you're literally neglecting them, like the kid doesn't have food to eat or a place to stay, but there's a internal neglection, a neglection where the kid wants to come hug on you and you don't have time for it, and that raises a kid who's looking for affection other places later. Or a kid who has questions, can't get answers from you because you don't have the time of day to actually converse with this young kid. And now, they're looking on YouTube for some other adult that can talk to them. You know what I mean? This is things that have happened and are happening in this world. Like I said, this is a different world we're growing up in. Also, there's more avenues for kids who are neglected by their parents to talk to somebody. And it's not necessarily something you can prevent or stop if you're a neglectful parent. If you're a neglectful parent, how are you going to know that your 8-year-old daughter is online chatting with some adult on TikTok? How would you know? How would you know that your kid is changing clothes before school, or they get to school, change clothes into a hoochie skirt? How would you know? How would you know, bro? You're neglecting your kids and expecting them to be transparent with you. That's not realistic. That's on the verge of insanity. Okay? That's just not how parenting works. That's not how life works. If you're a neglectful parent, you still have time to change, bro. You can change today. Ask more questions. Talk more. Show more love to your kid. Spend more time with your kids. All of these things are going to come back and either be fruitful for you later, or you'll have famine in your life later when it comes to your relationship with your kid. Super important. If you're a neglectful ass parent, I'm disappointed in you, but you can change right now. Over-involving parent. I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. I'm kind of this parent. I'm being totally transparent with y'all. I'm kind of this parent, not with my son. My son, I'm not over-involved. I let him kind of have a little bit more open range because he's so well behaved. My daughters, on the other hand, are so wild that I can say that I am somewhat of an over-involving parent. I do hover over them and micromanage them a lot, but that's because they're girls and I'm daddy. You know what I mean? And that's when you're dealing with opposite sex, opposite gender parenting. A woman raising a son or a dad raising a girl, these things can get kind of, I'm not gonna lie, man, it's kind of tough to tone down the micromanaging when you're a dude and you got a daughter, or you're a woman and you have a son. It is tough, bro. Anybody that is dealing with this already knows. I just want to protect them at every turn, man. I just, I just want to stop all bad things from happening. And that, I know that's not realistic. I know that can't necessarily be done. But I have learned, I'll leave the nest sometimes, man. I'll leave the nest sometimes and let them kind of figure things out for themselves. I like to put in place how you do things, how to put your shoes on. I'll do it for you for the first 6 weeks, and then the second 6 weeks I'll help you out, and then by the third 6 weeks you're on your own. I'll be looking from across the way. I don't think that's too over-involving, but the over-involving parent does prevent their kids from learning how to work out certain situations on their own. Does add a little bit more dependency to your parenthood, as far as having your child be able to buckle themselves in the car seat, or buckle their own seatbelt, or eat their own food with their own spoon, tie their own shoes, things down the road that can make your parenting a little bit easier. As they have the physical abilities to do stuff, you want mentally for them to be able to do that too. And I think that over-involving parenting is a dangerous game to play, as far as how easy or hard you make it on yourself later. And when they grow up, a 10-year-old still asking you to, run their bath water for them, or, have you taught enough? This is a scary thing, because I feel like I only micromanage them in a way that has to do with safety. Okay, let me go in here and follow you, make sure you don't fall and trip and hit your head on the counter. Okay, that's one thing. The over involving parent is just not letting their kids do anything by themselves. I think that down the road that can bite you. Obviously, it does give you peace of mind as a parent, knowing that, hey, if my kid is doing this, that means I'm doing this. And I get that. I totally get it. The only one of these that I don't get, the only style that I don't get, I can't get with, is the neglectful parenting. I don't have any positives from that. Maybe one day your kid will be able to fend for themselves if we are living in the Hunger Games.
I don't know, but
Over-involving parenting, I would say find balance, man. You definitely don't want to shorthand your kids as far as their learning ability or their survival ability or how they fare in this world. If you ever leave this earth, how they fare along without you. I say be over-involving when necessary, and at other times have a short leash. But don't, you can't be over-involving all the time. You have to teach your kids to do stuff on their own and that they can do the stuff, because that also breeds a confident child. A child that says, a middle school kid that says, yeah, I can win this spelling bee. Put me in it. Sign me up. You want them to feel like, okay, I can do this because I was shown how to do this, not I need my parent to be able to do this. Obviously, I want the type of situation where my kids are like, I can do this by myself, but obviously I can do it even better if with my dad's help. That's more of what I'm going for. And, I just have to kind of release those braces later on in life. I say the next 2 years or so, where I kind of unleash them. But I feel like the unleashing will come after they are prepared for that. And that all comes back to your parenting style, how you decide to do this, man. There's only one wrong way to do it, and there's two wrong ways to do it. That's either not doing it, or that's being a bum and being neglectful to your kid that's sitting right there waiting for you to be a damn parent. Thanks for coming back into the channel, y'all. Look, this was a longer video, but I wanted to make sure I broke all of these down. These are the 5 different parenting types. I think that this could come in handy just for you can kind of gauge where you are on this list and make adjustments. It's never too late. A lot of times if you're having a problem with your relationship with your child, you can go behind the scenes and make these changes internally to how you parent. And over the course of time, man, your kid will recognize, because you have to think back to when you were being a child. When you were a child, you noticed changes when your parents got a little bit more like loose with the rules as you got older. You noticed when your curfew went from 9 to 10, or your allowance went from 20 to 40. You noticed. So keep doing your thing, y'all. Big ups to all the parents out there. If you happen to watch this video, I hope you stay encouraged. This thing is a grind day in, day out. The example I always give is there's no such thing as getting tired of this thing. Obviously, you get tired, but you don't get tired of it. 99% of people, if their arm was hurt, they'd still go to work. If they were tired, you would still go to work and chase that money. Even though you're tired, you still got to knock this parenting thing out, man. You got to be at your best every day. Yo, that's what this is all about. After school, after college, after you get your degrees and you finish grad school, there's only like a couple things that kind of gauges where you are as an adult. That's your career, and that's being a parent or having a family, and what level of parenting you're on and what level of maturity level you're on with that. I think that this parenting thing it's a gauge, man. If you can do this parenting thing, still knock out your career, still enjoy your hobbies, that means you're doing something right. You're organized with it, and you're breeding organized adults, for the future. That's what the future world is going to need. And I think that this channel is going to be important moving forward, because a lot of us, in our 30s, 40s, we're thinking about the world right now when we do stuff. We're not thinking about the world our kids are going to grow up in. And that has to constantly be on your mind as a parent. What world is my kid going to grow up in 20 years from now? What will they need to know? What will they have the least amount of time to learn before they have to understand it or grasp it as far as concepts in this life? Go from there, man. Look, hold it down, y'all. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, man. Definitely helps the channel out. Helps us reach more parents. If you like this content, hit the like button. Turn the noties on so you know when you get a new video on here. Holla back, y'all. Much respect. Peace.